For those in Hays, Kansas, on the 21st day of February 1976, the memory of the violent storm that ripped into the state on Friday night will remain a strong one. The storm knocked out electricity, closed businesses, and nearly closed the season for the 192 high school wrestlers attending the second annual Grand State Wrestling Championships at Fort Hays State University. The Grand State is the last stop for the high school wrestler, but it's not just for any wrestler. Only the best make it to the Grand State. Make it by being one of the top 4 finishers in their respective height classes. They make it bringing records heavy with victories and featherlight with defeats. They make it because they are all champions, and the Grand State is where the champions come to prove they're the best. At the end of the Grand State, there would be but one champion left, and he alone would reign as king of his weight class, and truly king of Kansas. But ascension to the throne is not easy, and this last climb would prove a difficult challenge. At this caliber of wrestling, the slightest error, be it physical or mental, would mean elimination. And so the matches went. 6-minute struggles, man against man, each straining to make that next highest step leading to the finals. While the blustery weather outside kept many fans away, those who were on hand strained and struggled right along with their favorites. In a meet like the Grand State, the pressure is tremendous. It saps the body of energy, tempting both the muscles and the mind to relinquish and give up. Defining championship wrestling often conjures up words like strength, agility, sacrifice, and desire. But hidden beneath the blazing speed of moves and counter-moves, there is a beauty only the high-speed camera can capture. There is beauty in winning, too, and early on in the tournament, it was apparent that the wrestlers of Wichita's Cape and Mount Carmel High School were well on their way to the team championship. But by late Saturday, what team you wrestled for really didn't matter. What mattered was one more match. Out of the 192 who came to wrestle, the top 48 were introduced to a receptive crowd. Only 24 were left in that battle for the throne, and at the end of the evening, there would be 12 new champions. Where there had been 4 matches throughout the tournament, there now remained only 1, and 24 of the best conditioned athletes anywhere took a last warm-up before it was time to begin. Even with the tension so high, there was still time to meet, shake hands, and be friends. The cream of the crop can be friendly. They do have one thing in common: winning. As each second ticked away, the 24 finalists knew their time was near. Time to wrestle and hopefully win as they had so many times before. And then it was time. The lights in the Coliseum were dimmed except for the spotlights over the center mat. Then a crowd of nearly 5,000 wrestling fans watched as the first match was started at 98 pounds. In the 98-pound finals, Ken Frazier of Wichita East, dressed here in blue, matches with Keith Dugan from Derby wearing the green. Dugan had won the Class 4A championship a week earlier. In fact, he has not lost a match all year. He was risking an undefeated season one more time. His opponent, Ken Frazier, placed second in the 5A meet. That second place is his only loss. Two very even wrestlers, so even there is no score after the first period. In the second period, it looks like Dugan will ride Frazier out. His tight waist is strong, and he follows the slippery Frazier as if he is attached. That attachment lasted almost all of the second period, but with 10 seconds left, Frazier escapes. Early in the third period, Dugan ties the score when a Frazier heel trip backfires. The match has been conservatively wrestled to this point. Now it comes down to a takedown. With time running out, Dugan sets up his duck under. It's too little, too late, and the match goes into overtime. Frazier turns aggressive in the opening overtime period, drawing first blood as Dugan leans forward and Frazier slips behind for 2 points. Frazier will take that 2-point lead into the second overtime period. Frazier starts on top in the second period, but Dugan stands up, throws in his whizzer, and now he trails only by 1. But the Derby Jr. is tiring, and Frazier escapes quickly in the third period, making the score 3-1. With seconds left in the match, Dugan tries a desperation lateral drop. Frazier is ready and scores another takedown. And Ken Frazier is the new 98-pound Grand State champion, dealing a very tough Keith Dugan his first defeat. In the 105-pound finals, 2 state champions square off. In the blue, Class 3A champ Martin Bonce of Wichita, Cape and Mount Carmel. His record, 26 wins, no defeats. His opponent in purple and gold, the 2A, 1A state champ Richard Frakes of Douglas. Only 1 loss and 28 trips to the mat blemish his record. If the 98-pound class appeared even, the 105 is more so. Neither man finds an opening, and there is no scoring in the first period. Frakes starts on top in the second period, and for the next 2 minutes, he will show Mr. Bonce how tough he is. Cape coach Dwayne Miller tells Bonce to be tough in the third period. Bonce takes that advice to heart, and the mat he'd been forced to eat in the second period, he feeds right back to Frakes in the third. With 11 seconds left in regulation time, the crowd knows there's going to be another overtime. And from the look on Martin Bonce's face, he knows it too. This is second period overtime action. Score 0-0. Frakes from Douglas trying a long sit-out, which Bonce counters with a half Nelson. Frakes never escapes in the second period. In the third period, the pattern is the same but reversed. Frakes clamps onto Bonce like a vice and rides him out for the full 60 seconds. So it comes down to a referee's decision, and based on aggression alone, Martin Bonce is declared the 105-pound Grand State champion. The 112-pound finals is a rematch of the Class 4A finals from the week before. Tim Rudolph from Junction City, shown here in the purple and white, and Herbert Tolbert from Newton in the black and gold. Tolbert had beaten Rudolph for the 4A title, keeping him undefeated for the season with a record of 24-0. Rudolph's only loss in '76 is to Tolbert. For the third straight match in a row, there is no score in the first period. Rudolph chooses top for the second period, but early on he gives Tolbert too much room, and Tolbert completes an inside switch for 2 points. With the lead in hand, Tolbert pours on the pressure, never allowing his Junction City opponent to build much of a base. In the third period, it's much of the same. Tolbert's wrist lock keeps Rudolph under control. With a 2-0 victory under his belt, Herbert Tolbert leaves Hays, Kansas undefeated and a very happy Grand State champion. It's a night for great wrestling and satisfying rewards. Ask Capen's Martin Bonce and he'll tell you how it feels to be king of Kansas. At 119 pounds, Guy Messersmith of Coffeyville faces Kent Smith of Concordia. Messersmith in the yellow, Smith in the red. Messersmith draws first blood when Smith's single leg try is countered by Messersmith's quick lateral drop. Later in the first period, Smith ties the score on a reversal, and the first period ends 2-2. Kent Smith, a football player and trackman at Concordia, takes top in the second period. It looks like Messersmith might pull off an inside power switch, but Smith reaches back from a cross-body ride and turks his Coffeyville opponent, giving Smith a 2-point predicament and a 4-2 lead. In the third period, Messersmith weakens somewhat, allowing Smith to score another reversal and a 3-point near fall. One background note on Kent Smith said he was the Concordia stud. His 9-2 victory seems to prove that. With revenge on his mind, Lyndon Bonce takes to the mat in the 126-pound weight class. He and his opponent, Danny Schmidt from Hayes Thomas More Prep, have met only once before. That was a week earlier in the finals of the 3A state championships. Bonce lost that encounter 3-2. It was his only loss and left Schmidt undefeated on the season. Bonce is from Wichita, Cape and Mount Carmel. He lost the Grand State Finals the year before to Goodland superstar Doug Duell, but that was at 119 pounds. And now he had a second chance to win the Grand State. Both wrestlers know what they have to do, and the partisan crowd is roaring for Schmidt, especially after this pancake takedown. But Bonce spins his way to an escape. Score 2-1. Schmidt is from Hayes TMP, and Lyndon Bonce from Wichita, Cape and Mount Carmel. With 55 seconds left in the first period, Bonce charges back with this near takedown attempt. But just seconds later, it's Schmidt's tremendous upper body strength that again scores 2 points over Bonce. But again, Bonce avoids near fall points and gets back to his stomach. At the end of the first period, Schmidt leads 4-1, and Cape and coach Dwayne Miller is pacing the mat. Bonce starts on top in the second period by riding high and trying to turn Schmidt over. Schmidt counters with a beautiful inside sit-through and gets 2 more reversal points. Bonce again works free for an escape and fires right back, but both wrestlers go out of bounds. Third period now, and Mr. Bonce is desperate. He pulls off a Granby roll and follows that by a somewhat broken fireman's carry. As Schmidt nears an escape, Bonce counters with a leg trip, but it backfires, and Schmidt tacks on more points. Schmidt goes on to win this exciting contest by a final score of 12-5. That action will be tough to top, but they sure try hard in the next match. Getting up in the blue is Kendall Hirschberger from Wichita, Cape and Mount Carmel. His match is only seconds old, and he has already been taken down by Kirk Baker of Goodland. They, too, had wrestled the week before in the 3A finals. Hirschberger won that match. But he gets in trouble early in the first period, and Baker scores a predicament and leads 4-0. But Hirschberger fights back with a 2-point reversal. In the second period, Hirschberger starts on top and nearly catches Baker off balance. But as the referee indicates, no points on that try. Hirschberger remains on top in the second period and puts up a determined effort to turn his opponent on his back. But Kirk Baker of Goodland refuses to turn and takes a 4-2 lead into the third period. Cape and wrestlers aren't known for giving up, and Hirschberger escapes early in the third period and now can go into the lead with a takedown. With a minute to go in the match, Baker shoots half-heartedly at a takedown. He's merely trying to tie Hirschberger up or maybe force an air. Hirschberger tries to tip, then tries an arm drag, but Baker withstands the attack and still leads 4-3. There's only seconds left now, and the Goodland fans can sense a victory. Kirk Baker, a two-time 3A state champ, wins the crown at 132, and the Goodland fans love it. Goodland now moves into third place, and Baker's victory has tightened the gap behind Oberlin. 5,000 wrestling fans take a breather as Danny Schmidt gets his award at 126 pounds. This red ankle marker is going on Larry McAtee of Colby. He faces another Goodland cowboy, undefeated Fred Duell. In Goodland, Kansas, the name Duell means championship wrestling, and Fred Duell starts the first period going after his Colby opponent. But McAtee, who started the season late because of knee surgery, fights off his opponent, and the first period ends in a 0-0 tie. In the second period, Duell from Goodland starts on top, and he really puts the pressure on McAtee. These two athletes are good friends off the mat, but on the mat, they're just plain tough. Unfortunately, this match ended prematurely. McAtee's knee gives out late in the second period, and the injury forces Colby's Larry McAtee to call it quits for the evening. Fred Duell wins the 138-pound title, but he would say later in a radio interview that Larry McAtee is one of the toughest wrestlers anywhere, and he's disappointed the match didn't go the full distance. This win for Goodland, coupled with Baker's win at 132, puts Goodland in second place, just slightly ahead of Oberlin. But Oberlin will get a chance to regain second place if Tom Ahlstrom, dressed here in red, can pin Mike Geist from Topeka Hayden. Geist is in the bright blue. Both wrestlers are undefeated on the season, and it's Geist who makes the first offensive move. It looks like a sure two for Geist, but Ahlstrom surprises everyone and ends up on top. Referee Eldon Zimbelman starts the pair again with Ahlstrom in control 2-0. Geist again comes close with this standing switch, but all he ends up with is a one-point escape. When Oberlin coach Golden Matson says follow through with a move, Tom Ahlstrom knows what that means. This takedown gives Ahlstrom a 4-1 lead going into the second period. Ahlstrom escapes in the second period, and he'll take Geist down again before it ends. This is third period action now. Ahlstrom leads 7-1, and Geist has scored another escape, but Ahlstrom is right back and nearly tears Geist's leg off with this single leg. Geist is running out of gas, but Ahlstrom wants to go for a pin off a takedown, so he lets Geist up again. Ahlstrom does get another takedown late in the match, and Mike Geist knows what it's like to go hard for 6 minutes. Tom Ahlstrom, who is an honorable mention quarterback in football, wins the 145-pound Grand State title by a score of 11-3. Moving quickly to the 155-pound division, this is undefeated David Alley of Douglas scoring a 2-point takedown over Emporia's Mark Stuvey. But Stuvey falls on Alley, scoring a 2-point reversal and 3 more points for a near fall. Things have happened fast here, and Stuvey slows the pace, lets Alley have 1 point for an escape. Stuvey is a 4A state champ, Alley the 2A, 1A state champ. Oddsmakers have Alley picked to win, but in the second period, with Alley on top, Stuvey pulls off an inside switch and comes out the back door. Stuvey cannot hold on to Mr. Alley, and the score is now 7-4. With time running out, Stuvey bear hugs a surprised Alley for another takedown, and Mark Stuvey takes a commanding lead into the third period. Stuvey is on top in the third period and 120 seconds away from the gold medal at 155 pounds. Alley cannot get away in those 120 seconds, and Mark Stuvey of Emporia is the new Grand State champion at 155. This is three-time state champ Roy Osier getting last-minute instructions before heading out to face Dave Schomburger of Hoxie for the 167-pound title. Osier in blue is a junior and has a record of 27 wins and no losses. Schomburger in white with red trim is 18-7 on the year. Osier is the favorite, and Schomburger knows it, but he refuses to be taken down on this single leg, mainly because Osier is not content to get two. Instead, he wants to go for a pin from a standing position. But late in the first period, Osier slips behind Schomburger and leads 2-0. Schomburger starts on top in the second period and stops Osier's first escape attempt with a full body lift. But seconds later, Schomburger gets a bit too high and Osier scores a 2-point reversal followed by a 3-point near fall. Osier now leads 7-0, but Schomburger won't give up as he scores a 1-point escape on a long sit-out and comes right back after Osier just before the second period ends. Third period action now, and Schomburger has scored another escape, but the young man again is taken down and nearly pinned with a combination Mr. Osier probably never practiced before. Schomburger gets in another neutral position for his fourth escape point of the match. Roy Osier wins convincingly at 167, leaving him undefeated on the year and in possession of the 167-pound Grand State gold medal. Whoever said the heavier weights don't score points didn't bother to tell Harry Madden of Effingham or David Drennan of Winfield. It's a referee's nightmare as these two 185-pounders roll each other around in the first period, scoring a total of 10 points. Late in the first period, Drennan, wearing the blue tights, nearly ends it all with this cradle. He scores only 2 points but leads 6-4. Drennan is penalized early in the second period for clasping hands, and then Madden pulls off a Granby roll, reversing Drennan and putting him on his back. At this point in the match, no one is too sure who has scored what, and it takes several minutes of brainstorming before points are awarded, and Harry Madden, who has 26 pins on the year, leads undefeated David Drennan 12-8. Madden is on top to start period 3, but it's not long before this pair heads right back into their act. Both wrestlers score 2 reversals apiece in the third period, and when that buzzer sounds, there are 2 very tired 185-pounders on the mat. Harry Madden from Effingham wins a 16-13 decision, and he knows it wasn't easy. The heavyweight contest is a good one. In the blue uniform is Big Mike Culbertson of Leavenworth. His opponent in black and red is Steve Guilfoyle of Ellsworth. Culbertson is a slight favorite, and he initiates an offensive move, but it's Guilfoyle who scores the points. Culbertson works to a base and does score an escape after standing up. Neither men score further in the first period. We'll go to second period action now with Mike Culbertson trailing by 1 and finding himself reversed on a nicely done outside switch by Steve Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle chooses not to ride Culbertson and lets him go for 1. Coming up is a very unusual takedown. Mike Culbertson, with his back to you, will step through and work an inside Japanese whizzer roll. That move ties the score, but Culbertson again gets careless, and Steve Guilfoyle scores another reversal, this time on an inside switch. Third period action now, and Mike Culbertson pulls to within 1 point after escaping. Time is running short for Mike, but watch this beautiful fireman's carry followed by a half Nelson pinning combination. There's a lot of mutual respect between these two heavyweights, and it's a perfect way to end the competition, and this crowd of 5,000 has sure seen some top-notch high school wrestling. The Coliseum lights come back on now, and the pressure which has filled the facility for 2 straight days dissipates. The Crusaders of Wichita, Cape, and Mount Carmel amassed 75 points in the Grand State, and for the second year in a row, Coach Dwayne Miller, a former NCAA champ from the University of Oklahoma, grabs hold of the Grand State trophy. Goodland, which had 2 champions, tied with Oberlin for second place. The Hoxie Indians placed third, followed by Douglas and Wichita Heights. In the end, it's the photographers who fight for position as the individual winners line up for a group picture. The 12 best wrestlers in the state of Kansas for the year 1976. They had come and they had conquered all. And on a cold weekend in Hays, Kansas, they had reached out and touched that all too elusive goal of being a champion.
Coach said he's going to hang it.
Oh, good job, man. Real good job. Congratulations. That's it. Great job. Are we all through, Ron? That's it.